James woke up around to witnesses. James let out a loud keck and said, "This doesn't do. This doesn't do at all." James let out a loud shart, which wreaked havoc on his undergarments and created countless stars and planets, and James was satisfied. He paid particular attention to a small planet. He called it James. To us mortals, it was known as Earth. James said, "Let there be light," so he created a small sphere that shined brightly. He called it James, and to us mortals, once again, we had our name for one of James's beautiful creations. We called it the sun. James bellowed and clapped, creating huge waves and mountains. He started to shape the land and put in fine textures, burping created caves and waterfalls. James planted one of his finest creations on the planet James. He planted a plant known as marijuana. James called it the James tree. Thus, it should be known the marijuana plant is called the James tree. If you come across a James tree, let thy smoke of its Jamesy goodness, as James would do to the same unto it. James grabbed a fork and started to brush it across the ground, creating pits, small sand dunes, and the desert. James swallowed some vodka and threw up. He drank a little too much and threw up, and the ocean was created, or as James called it, Keller Billers. James picked at his teeth, and huge chunks of trees came out and landed on the ground, giving the air its oxygen, and making the grass James made turn from red to green. "James, your haircut is looking like a fantastic piece of ass, James," James said to himself quietly as he stared at the Keller Billers to get a reflection of himself. James created tons of other planets similar to Earth, but each with a different type of interesting aspect. On planet James, James reigned supreme. He had his own fortress and his favorite things in the world, Uncrustables, vodka, and James trees. Planet James was miraculously, honestly, they say the average mortal couldn't even deal with it. It was just too beautiful, and thus most mortals died, or worse, dealt with the dangerous clutches of insanity. The wind on planet James flowed herpes, and just anyone stepping onto planet James for even a second would contract herpes, and this type of herpes was not treatable. The planet flowed with vodka, rivers, and oceans. James had tons of James trees everywhere, and James loved his big booty hoes all across the planet. James perfected planet James, but made a bunch of other ones such as Earth much worse, just so James could have a good laugh or two.